channel here over at Subscribestar. So this, even without seeing who wrote this, that kind of feels like a John Trent article. So Disney uses a male TikTok propagandist to sell dresses to children. I was going to say sell dresses to girls, but then I had to correct myself because it's just to children now because boys wear dresses now. Well, why I can't, honestly, I read this kind of stuff and I just can't believe we've sunk this far in such a short time period. Well, look what's going on now, and look to the future. Guys, just continue this slippery slope into hell, and what the future holds is, this stuff would have been considered a nightmare 20, 40 years ago. The stuff that's coming is holy cow. I mean, anyway, so the white pill in all this is that this absolute evil is causing a resurgence in people who are realizing that, oh, this is the time to grab the Bible, perhaps get back into Christianity or paganism or something, because it feels like Revelation mixed with Ragnarok. Feels like it's right around the corner. We're gonna have the Walking Dead any day now. It's funny because Sodom. Besides Sodom, there's another more recent period that kind of this reminds me of. The similarities are shocking. It's sort of weird that more people don't see it or discuss it. A lot of things are kind of. I mean, hey, when the media is absolutely controlled by the toxic alt left wing, many things are just not discussed. It's when you put on the glasses and you start to see all these invisible elephants that people have been walking around for years and years, and then you get in, you can start to see them. You realize, the media is responsible for that because they won't cover anything. Anyway, so Disney is after your kids. You might as well just put it out there like that. It's just that's precisely what's happening because Disney is run by the reptilians. I mean, you could make it more complicated than that, but you could also just look at them and call them the demons that they are because this is demonic activity. Disney, dear God. Disney has taken this hard left wing turn. They used to, believe it or not, be a family company, but they were taken over by the left hand people who are using Disney to bring the light of Lucifer to Earth to create a hell on Earth. So now they're pushing this BLT stuff. Most of their audience is not on board with it, and it's losing them money, but they're pushing it anyway. They only care about pushing this sinister ideology. They will bankrupt the company before they turn it around. Apparently, some of the people are at the top have brainwashed their kids into being all this kind of doing all this BLT type of stuff. It's like what do they say, the vegan cat? Yeah, the cat is not a vegan; it's a carnivore. So a lot of this is sunk cost investment. There's a psychology behind that for their way of thinking in that they did this to their kids so they don't. Oh, maybe I can play this with it. If I play it, we'll get a TikTok. I guess not. I hope the audio is not coming through. I get struck. So they did this to their kids because they don't want their kids to be alone. They want your kids to also take drugs and remove their body parts. It's a cult of sterilization where they're ending the next generation. And these parents are doing this to their kids to fund a $1 billion new medical industry. Yes, the inmates are running the asylum. This does feel like the end stage of a country because sterilizing your kids is fundamentally different from a fad that you can outgrow. This is actually a sacrifice of your lineage to Moloch, where girls are removing their breasts and then later they have kids and they can't breastfeed because they voluntarily underwent a elective mastectomy. There's a situation that people are passing around Gab and Twitter and Telegram where a couple, male and female, they both took cross-sex hormone drugs and surgery and all this kind of stuff. So the woman has kids. She can't breastfeed. So which breast milk is very important to a growing child. It's critical. I mean, that's what it's. Oh dear God, thanks for that. I could have done without seeing that. Not in defeat. So she can't breastfeed, and so we're trying to induce lactation in my partner, the biological male, who I guess is on a ton of drugs, too. So you're gonna give your baby the biological male taking just an absolute boatload of drugs. What are the side effects? Long-term side effects on a child's development, having them breastfeed from a man. Oh, we don't know. Of course you don't know because it's never been studied because it's inconceivable to people. So you cut your breasts off and then decided to have kids. I mean, you might ask why'd you do that? Why'd you remove a functioning healthy body part? And how is that even legal? Why would the state license a doctor who does that? First do no harm, because this is that period of history that is being repeated, and it's a billion-dollar madness industry of mass psychosis. So this person, an adult human male, works for Disney, modeling Minnie Mouse dresses and Disney watches and shoes sold in the Disney store. So here's the thing. It's okay to look at this and just start talking to other people about this so people know that it's not politically correct to go against the narrative, but we really have no choice. You just have to start talking to other people about this. The people get what they want are the people who really go after it, no matter what. Other people have to know that not everyone is on board with this. In fact, a very small percentage of people are on board with this. So people can kind of start to realize that most people think this is deeply disturbing, and yet it's all still happening. It's as if there's this shadowy, powerful group that is pushing all this stuff in this direction. And, actually, YouTube will kick you off for conspiracy theories if you talk about some things. Sort of weird that Google feels the need to have such tight control over a narrative they can't allow people just to think for themselves and reach their own conclusions. It really makes you think. Kind of activates the almonds. Why they. And it's a good thing they bought YouTube to make sure. It's weird that social media is controlled by, what is it? Facebook, Instagram is controlled by Zuckerberg, who himself looks like a reptilian. Then you get Twitter, and you get YouTube. And there's a couple other smaller platforms than that, but you're talking about a half a dozen platforms control 90% of social media traffic, I would guess. And the other thing is the Gatekeeper is the app stores for Apple and Google, because those are the two mainstream app stores. Think, shouldn't our government, what do you call when you break up the steel companies and the train companies so they don't have a monopoly, antitrust type of stuff? The robber barons from the 18 whatevers. So you got this app store that filters 90% of app traffic on phones. And so if they don't want you there, because like Gab is not allowed on there, or they made Parler go politically correct too, which is fine. Gab's a web app; it works just fine there. But if your app doesn't play by their narrative rules, if you don't have political commissars controlling the speech to make sure that I guess I could have turned the volume off on that. Make sure that you're not you're following the narrative. You get kicked off. You're not allowed on the app store. It's like, it seems like free speech is so important to Americans that our representatives should do something, because it's a balance. Everything in law is going to be a balance of interest versus the liberty of the people versus the autonomy, the agency of these billion-dollar companies. And most reasonable people look at this and go, you know what, free speech, open marketplace of ideas, open discourse between people is more important than the rights of a company to exclude people from using their social media platforms or their app stores. We gotta enforce free speech across all these platforms. All right, I just articulated the constitutional law argument in 30 seconds. You'd think someone would be putting that, someone with a big brain, or perhaps one of our, hundreds of representatives that you pay for. You get taxed to pay for those representatives, which is funny because you're not being represented, so you're actually just being taxed for no representation. You would think one of those representatives would raise this argument. I don't know, in Washington. It's where they do all that kind of stuff, like take it to the Supreme Court, or it's weird how many things like we just allow to happen. We allow this country just kind of slip into this controlled, police state of tyranny by a few big billion-dollar tech companies and financial institutions. It's like not enough people are speaking out against it. It's like, where are you going to speak out against it? If you're too forthright on Google or those other half dozen mainstream media companies, you'll just get kicked off. And you can go to Odyssey, Gab, BitChute, Telegram, a bunch of other platforms. But like I said, they're probably combined like 10% of traffic. Though I will say Gab's been around a long time, and they're growing, and they're just continually growing. So like when Parler, Getter, and Truth and all those other platforms eventually go underwater, Gab is still going to be around because it's a fundamentally different platform. It's the free speech platform out there. If it's legally protected speech and it's not, adult stuff of prurient content, it's allowed on Gab, and the other platforms have to go through the App Store. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks everyone over at Subscribe Star. Thanks people sending pocket knives through the mailbox or the comic books. Very much appreciated. I like pocket knives. It's just how pocket knives and comics. I like this. I like this quite a bit. Like, it's shilling. Yeah, that's the only point of getting on social media. And someone sent me some silver coins. I very much appreciated. That was not something I asked for, not something I ever expected, not something I ever expect to get again. So no pressure, but the comics have been nice. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys all next episode.